Welcome to Kunku Academy. In this tutorial, I'll be taking you guys through functions, and under functions, I'll be taking you guys through evaluating of functions, determining whether a function is an increasing or decreasing function, determining the domain of a function, and other concepts of functions, maximum and minimum of a function. If you are new to this channel, I recommend that you please subscribe and put us on post notification so that you'll be notified whenever we upload a new video. Now, evaluating of a function. So what a function does is that it shows the relationship between two variables. And so let's take this for example. Y is equal to 2x plus 6. So this shows how x relates to y, or how y relates to x, like that. So with this, we have two terms that we will define. We have what we called the independent variable, which is the x. X is the independent variable and y is the dependent variable. X is the independent variable because it is x that we specify. So for every x that we specify, we have a unique y, right? So we change x to get y, right? So x is the independent. It doesn't depend on anything, but y depends on x. Yes. So that's something small about functions. Now let's come to evaluating a function. Now let's take this example and let's evaluate it. So f of x is equal to x plus 2. So we say find f of 2. When we are giving something like that, it means that wherever we find x, we put 2 and solve. So wherever we find x in the function f of x, we put 2 and solve. So here we put 2 at where we find x, so we get 2 plus 2. Then we get the final answer to be what? 4. Now let's do same for gain of 2. Now let's do for gain of 4. Gain of 4. I don't want to complicate things because we'll be doing what we call domain. So for that, we are going to get root of 4 minus 3, which will be equal to what? 1. Now I will leave you to find the value for h of 2 and tell me the answer in the comment section. I'll be expecting your answers. So now that we know how to evaluate a function, we will go ahead to determine the domain of a function. Domain of a function. Now what do we mean by the domain of a function? The domain of a function is a set of possible x values that makes the function defined. Now you see, initially I asked you to find gain of 2 and I said I don't want to complicate things, right? Okay, now these are the functions. When I say something that makes the function defined, it means that, for example, when I put 2 here, 2 at this point where x is, I'm going to get root of -1. And root of -1 is a complex number, not a real number, right? And this makes the function what? Undefined, right? So the domain is the set of possible numbers that will make the function a real number, the answer for the function a real number or defined. So let's use another example. Let's say gain of x is equal to 2 plus x over 4 minus x. Now for this function, when I put x is equal to 4 in this function, I'm going to get the denominator to be 0 and the numerator to be 6, and that is going to make this function undefined. that is going to make this function undefined because we cannot find 6 over 0. Do you get it? Yes. So with this, that's all about domain. So when I'm asked to find the domain of a function, now let's go back to our real example. So gen of x is equal to root of x minus 3. So when I'm asked to find the domain of this function, what I do is that I need to make sure that this expression, right, gives me from 0 to positive infinity, because I cannot find the negative root of something to be a real number, right, or defined. I don't want to have a situation where I get a negative number under this square root, right? So the domain of this function will be equal to x minus 3, right, is greater than 0, because I want to get positive value under this bracket, sorry, under this root, right? So I'll get x is greater than 3 as my domain. Now, I taught you how to write an interval given this. If you don't know how to do this, I recommend that you watch my previous video on point sets, and that talks about this. This is a left open interval, an unbounded interval, a left open interval. So with this, it means that I have from 3 open bracket 3 towards positive infinity as my domain, right? Yes. Now, using this same example, I'm going to explain what an increasing and decreasing function is. So an increasing function, right, is a function that will provide increasing values of, let's say, g of x when its domain are placed in it, right? So let's say this is the domain of this function. So in the domain, I can take values as x1 is equal to, let's say, 4, and x2 is equal to, let's say, 5, right, in this domain. So when I put, for this to be an increasing function, when I put 4 into this function and I evaluate it, and I also put 5 into this function and I evaluate it, the one with 5 should be greater than the one with 4. If that is so, then the function is increasing. But if the one with 4 is greater than the one with 5, then the function is a decreasing function. So let's see whether this function is an increasing or decreasing function. So when I evaluate gen of 4, I get root of 4 minus 3, which gives me 1. And when I evaluate gen of 5, I get root of 2. And root of 2 is greater than 1. And so this means that this function g of x is an increasing function. It's an increasing function. You can find examples for decreasing functions too. You can find examples for decreasing functions too. Okay. Now we will come to what we call bounded functions. Bounded functions. So a function is said to be bounded when f of x, let's say f of x is the function, is said to be bounded when you evaluate a particular x in f of x, you get a particular, let's say, answer to be u, and no other element in the domain when evaluated in f of x is going to give any value above or below u, depending on whether you are dealing with lower or upper bound. So let's say I have the domain of a function, let's say f of x 1, 2, 3, let's say 4. Let's use this domain, right? And I evaluate the function at, let's say 4, and I get 5, right? And if I evaluate the function at any point apart from 4, and let's say I get values or as, let's say 3, 2, -1, and no value that I evaluate in the domain gives me an answer above 5, it means that the function is bounded. That is, the function is bounded at 5. And so no value of the function when I evaluate it is going to be above 5. That's what we call a bounded function. Now we talk about maximum and minimum values of a function. Maximum and minimum values of a function. For maximum and minimum values, I will prefer to do a separate video talking about that one to make this video short. And so thank you for watching this video to the end. Do well to like, comment and subscribe, and also share this video for us. Thank you.